Welcome back to Mystic Like My Mama, a podcast presented by Ask Penjie. I'm Isabella, and this is my mama, Tina, and we are a mother-daughter duo and the co-founders of Ask Penjie. In this show, we'll talk about accessing your intuition and how we integrate ancient wisdom into our modern lives. Welcome back, everybody.
Hi.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello,
Okay.
hello.
So starting off this episode, we have a crazy funny little story that happened. I went to my first film premiere ever. It was for a little short film. So fun. But I have been bringing these little gluten-free vegan ramen cups with me to any event or anything that we're working or doing or traveling because it has been a lifesaver. I have not had a little on-the-go food for me, and now all of a sudden I'm addicted to these little ramen cups because I finally found one that's
And you
vegan.
found a way to like flavor it deliciously on the
Yeah,
road.
I bring like a little vegetable bouillon and it's a whole thing. So, all you need for this ramen is hot water. So I can take it anywhere and I'm free and I can just always have a warm little after meal after something. Now, after this premiere that we went to, you picked me up and I was like, okay, we have to find somewhere that's open so I can get a hot water so I can make my ramen. And we were on a mission and you were like, don't worry, I got it. There's a drive-through Starbucks. We're all good. Starbucks is always a guaranteed. I've never had an issue with Starbucks. Every time I go, I can get a hot water. You went, first of all, it was drive-through only, so it was confusing. For some reason, how to get in there. But then you pulled up in the car, right, at the window, and the lady was no one was talking to us. So we were like, okay, we'll just
So
go
we just drove through.
to the front window because we're just
Yeah.
getting water. They don't have to make it.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, they weren't talking to us on the speaker, so we pull up to
Yeah.
the window, and you're like, oh, can I just get a hot water? I didn't.
Like for tea, like if you were
Yeah.
going to get like a order like a tea.
Like anywhere I go, you can normally just ask for like an ice water or a hot water because they just have it in the machine for coffee or tea anyways. So I can always find hot water to make this little ramen cup. You asked her if you could have hot water, and what did she say?
Okay, so this is where it gets crazy actually. It's not just what she said, it's the fact she was actually like upset, first of all, like
Well, first she
frustrated.
was mad that you didn't order at the speaker.
Right. And I told her, I said, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I end up apologizing and I didn't do anything. Like, I
Hmm.
end up apologizing. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I went to, like, I don't do drive-throughs anyway. So, but I know how to do it. And I would know if somebody said something. But anyway, she didn't like that I didn't order something. So I said, oh, I was just looking to see if we can order a hot water, like, for tea or something like that. And she said, you're going to have to go to the walk-up window. I'm like, I have to go to
Well,
the
first she was trying to convince you to get back in the driver line, like drive to
Well,
the
she
window
said go
again.
back and
Then,
order or go up, or you have the option of going up to the walk up window. So I said, okay,
yeah.
I'll do the walk up window. So I pull out a line and I go to the walk up window. I
Hmm.
get to the walk up window and she like somebody opens and slides the window finally. This is me getting out of the car, walking up to the window at night, right, through this drive-through Starbucks, and it just felt complicated already. And I get to the window and she says, "You're going to need to go to the other window." I'm like, "There's another window? Like this is the walk-up window. This is not the right walk-up window." So I walk like 6 feet over, turn the
That
corner
was
and
like the pickup window.
yeah, and there's
Pick
like
up, walk up.
it didn't say that though. It said walk-up window. So
Hmm.
there's just two. So I go to the other walk-up window and then she opens the thing and I said, "Hi." I said, my daughter has celiac. Like I'm looking to just get some hot water. And is it possible to get, a cup of hot water like for tea?" And she said, "No, it's not possible." And I was like, "Okay."
You're like, don't you have water back
I
there?
was like, "Do you not have hot water?" And she's like, "Yes, we have hot water." I said, "So it's not possible to get hot water?" She said, "No." I said, I'm willing to pay for the hot water. Like I'm gonna like say I order a tea, but I have my own tea. Like you don't, or you give
Yeah,
me a
like a
bag
tea.
of tea,
Hmm.
but I'm not gonna use it." But just
Hmm.
me telling her that was confusing. So I said, "Could I just get a cup of hot water?" No. "May I buy a cup of hot water?" No. I'm like, okay, I'm at this point, I'm not even sure what to do. And I'm really just trying to get you hot water so you can pour it into your ramen cup and
And we can go home.
make the noodles. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then she said, "No, I can't." And I said, "Okay, what are my options here?" I said, "I'm not exactly sure what to do." She's like, "Well, you could walk across the street and go to Burger King." and see if they have hot water. I said, so just to be clear, you don't have hot water. And she's like, we have hot water. And I said, may I buy a hot water? Could I order a tea? What can I do? And so then she said, I'm sorry, but it goes against corporate. I was like, corporate is telling you that I can't buy hot water. So anyway, it was like the most insane experience of my, like, I don't even know what to say about it. It didn't make any sense. She said, you're going to have to buy something in order to give you the hot water. And I said, so think they have no button for like buying hot water. I said, well, I'm willing to buy a tea. Can I buy like a small tea? She said, no. So I don't even know. At that point, I don't even know what was happening. But I said, what is the least expensive thing that I could buy where you could give me a cup of hot water also? And she said, you can buy string cheese. I said, okay, how much is that? She said, it was like $1.95. I said, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to buy the string cheese, not string cheese. But I don't eat cheese, so you can have it. And she's like, I don't eat string cheese. I said, is there anyone here that can eat the string cheese? And they literally went and got the string cheese, brought the string cheese, and no one's going to eat it. And I said, why don't you just put that back? Like, I will pay for it, but leave it for someone who's going to eat it. I finally pay for it. I get the hot water. And it was so frustrating and it was so confusing. I literally wanted to like call Starbucks and find out why can I not get a hot water? And by the way, haven't we gotten hot water many, many times over the years at
Oh yeah,
Starbucks? Because
absolutely.
we bring tea everywhere. Like we bring like little tea in our purse or something like that. And yeah, I just didn't understand it. I mean, I really don't
No, it
understand the
was
policy.
literally so funny. I mean, I'm so glad it worked out because I was so hungry and we like got the ramen, but it was so crazy. It was so confusing. And the thing is, I've worked in food service too, so I know that you can almost always give people water for free, hot or cold. And then if you can't, it's because normally the cups are
Hmm.
charged, so they're by count, right? So they can't give you a cup because then they're under. So you just pay for a drink because then it's a normal cup, but
I didn't
you just
mind doing that. I think
yeah,
she was
exactly. You
just
just
so
pay for a drink
confused.
and they just fill it with water or
She
something.
just
But she
literally
would not cooperate.
Well, they just literally didn't, and they also didn't understand why I needed it. And I said, listen, my daughter has celiac, like she has to, you know, have gluten free, like she has to make this food. Like nothing I told her clicked. Like it just didn't work.
It was
I'm just
just too
not,
late. It was
I'm
just
just
too
not
late at night.
yeah, but I'm just not used to that. Like I'm so used to people being so helpful and so amazing. And I was like, I felt like I was being punked or I was like on Saturday Night Live. Like it was just, I wasn't trying to be difficult and I was willing to pay for a product or like something like that. So yeah, I didn't understand it. So Starbucks, that makes no sense actually.
I know it was so crazy. But it was good and then I was full, so
Yeah, I'm so happy that you found something like on the road to have. But it just makes me think that this is why it's hard for people oftentimes to like speak up or ask for what they need or kind of, be in the world and need different things because
yeah,
sometimes it's challenging.
the second you do anything slightly unconventional, people are even ordering a hot water, people get uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was just a fluke. Maybe it was just that night. I myself, I try really hard to still show up and be mindful and, kind. I mean, I wasn't like upset or mad. I was just super confused.
Yeah, I know.
But this is a lesson not to give up because we got the hot water.
No, we got to be dedicated and kind. We were so kind. It just,
Did I tell you though that she wouldn't eat the string cheese either? Like it was
oh,
just
it
so
was
funny.
so funny. It was so
Okay.
funny.
Nobody wanted it. Okay.
It was so crazy. And also, like, I don't know, it just didn't make any sense. Maybe she was just bored. So
No,
she threw
no,
it.
they said they were like really following like the rules, like the corporate.
Interesting. Interesting. Now it's time for our card pull of the week. And I have my beautiful Cosmic Guidance deck by Dreamy Moons. If you want your own, you can use 10% off code Ask Penjie. Hi.
Okay, you guys. So we are going to do a card reading for the collective. So I want everybody to think about some sort of decision that they need to make or a situation that they would like to get some clarity on. What's wrong?
What? the heck is this? This is not even possible. This is actually insane.
Wait, are you recording? Or are you saying that to me? But
We're
Bella,
recording. We're recording. Mom, you're not gonna believe this.
wait, but I didn't finish saying my spiel.
It doesn't matter. Sometimes things happen.
Okay.
This is so, you're gonna literally freak out. You're gonna freak out. I don't even know what to say. You're gonna like,
Okay, but before you reel it, it's for the collective. So let me tell everyone,
okay.
you guys. So when you receive a card reading like this and it's for the collective and you're listening to it, it is this doesn't make sense now.
It all makes sense. Keep going.
Okay.
You're good. Keep going.
When we do a card for the collective, I want you guys to focus on some kind of message that you're looking to receive. I don't know. Bella already picked the card, and I don't know what's happening this week. But anyway, this is a card for everybody that should give you some clarity and some message that you need to hear.
If you don't fall off your chair, I'm
Yeah.
getting off the podcast right now.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Boom. Can you
Oh
read it? Can you read
my,
it?
I can read it. Oh
Fall
my,
off your chair right now.
wait.
See, you guys, this is literally our theme for this episode. I'm not even kidding.
Okay. But normally, Bella, you don't pick it until I'm done with my like.
I didn't pick it. It
Oh, it fell
happened.
out. Oh, it fell
This is what I'm
out.
saying. It happened.
Oh, okay. I get it. I get it. Okay,
Okay.
proceed. So, you guys, this is so crazy because our entire podcast is literally about freedom. Our
Mm.
podcast today is going to be about choosing a freedom lifestyle, creating a freedom lifestyle. So, I've never had this card
Me
actually.
neither. This looks planned. This
Yeah,
is crazy.
this can happen all the time. Like there's only so many cards in the deck, but truly it's crazy when it happens. So, what are those small words say?
It says spread your wings, freedom.
Okay. So we are actually this card, you guys, this card is so
I'm like
appropriate.
flabbergasted or whatever.
It's appropriate for this
Whew.
podcast, but it's appropriate for this weekend that we are doing this recording this podcast because it's, 4th of July weekend and everyone's talking about freedom and and we are relating it to a freedom lifestyle. So it's crazy that you chose that card fell out. Okay. Anyway, we're
No,
both
it's
speechless.
unreal. Okay, ready?
Yes.
Freedom, spread your wings. Life is nothing but a dream, and if we are artists, then we can create our life with love, and our dream becomes a masterpiece of art. Don Miguel Ruiz.
Mm,
You are free. Feel and embrace your own freedom. Freedom to feel, do, say. Freedom to be who you want to be. Freedom to achieve what you desire. You may feel trapped by your life's conditions. Know that the outside circumstances don't have to affect your inner boundless freedom. Do you really have to do the things you say you have to do? If they make you feel resistant and do not serve you in any way, are you able to say no to them and yes to freedom? This card is a reality check. You are, in fact, free to do what you desire. You have freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of choice. What are you doing with your freedom? Pay attention to how you use it. Allow yourself exercises, allow yourself to say no to things you don't actually want to do, and meditate and visualize yourself flying free like a bird. The affirmation is I am free to achieve my dreams. I am always free to choose my thoughts.
okay.
Come on.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
Come
crazy. You
on.
can't plan this. That's crazy.
It doesn't
We
get cooler than that.
No, it's amazing. So hopefully that resonates with you guys on some level. I think we are all always searching for how to become more free, how to become more authentic. So we're going to talk about that today on the show.
Most
So
incredible, easiest, best segue we've probably ever had.
yes, amazing. Okay, so I have actually two quotes for this episode. I'm going to read them really quick. Okay, so we like this quote, and you actually, oh, it's so weird. Hold on a sec.
Okay.
Oh no, you know what? I think it's in my closet. I was gonna say I actually have sometimes quotes that you guys have made, and you actually drew this when you were really little, actually. But this quote says, "Why fit in when you were born to stand out?"
Cute.
Do you remember who said it?
Cute. Dr. Seuss.
Yes, Dr. Seuss. Good. Yeah, perfect.
See?
Okay, and the
I mean,
second
I
one,
did draw it.
the second one is a quote that I want you guys to think about while we speak today. but it's called The Privilege of a Lifetime is to Become Who You Truly Are by Carl Jung.
Love,
Yes.
love that.
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, so our theme for today is choosing a freedom lifestyle. What that means, mom's going to speak to, she chose a lifestyle so unique and full of so many different things. Very similar to, on a much larger scale, our ramen story of doing something unconventional and what it means to do that and the sacrifices and things and whatever it looks like in your life. So, we're going to talk about that today. And whether or not you're in America, whether or not you believe in 4th of July, whether or not you're celebrating it because the world is very scary and confusing and there's so many things. Either way, we can agree that it's a conversation of freedom and independence. And that's something that we want to speak to today and that matters a lot to us. So, with that, we'll start with our theme. What does a freedom lifestyle actually mean to you, and when did you first start calling it that?
Okay. So I made it up, just like all of these things that I've done that I've actually just created, for our family. And I just called it a freedom lifestyle after the fact. That's what I've named it sort of like later on in life when I figured out. But it's really just living as your authentic self. And I think the best way that I would describe it is to do that without shame and without guilt, right? So a lot
Yeah.
of times we feel bad about our choices. We feel like, people don't approve of us and we're criticized and we don't often have the courage to follow our hearts. And everybody says follow your heart, and they don't really want us to. As long as it's not inconvenient for anyone or it doesn't go against cultural or familial or societal requirements. So it's really just living your authentic life and following your intuition and kind of doing what's good for you and your family.
Love it.
It's trusting your inner voice over outside noise, but there's some real consequences to doing that. You know what I mean? It says, like, and this is what I was going to say earlier, freedom is the goal and the intention, and having, being yourself and showing up authentically, but it does have some cost, right?
Yeah.
It's just, disapproval of people that you know and love, disapproval of society, and it can sometimes be very lonely to go down that road.
Yeah, to choose something, so different.
Yeah.
You started this lifestyle of, going your own path in your own way and following your heart and your intuition many, many years ago. And how do you think you initially found the courage to start following your intuition and going a unique path? Because right, like there was a day one, right? I think you've been listening to your intuition since you were born and since you were little and having, feelings and guidance. But how do you think you had the initial courage when you decided, okay, I want to live a different kind of lifestyle, or I want to have freedom to choose what I want to do? What would you say?
Well, it's a really good question. So I have to think back like quite a while. Um, so I think that I started to listen to my intuition more when I started, like when I was together with daddy for, before I even became pregnant. But I think honestly, this is how I describe it. What happened when I became pregnant and then when I had you, I sort of like to describe it like I got some sort of cape. Like somebody put a cape on me. And it's like I knew that you needed me to have your back. You needed me to stand up for you. You needed me to have the courage to make decisions for our family and follow our intuition. And the thing is that I'm going to talk about you guys, you and your sister now, but you guys were very strong. Like you
Hmm.
were very strong, and I was maybe not always willing to do it for myself, but I was willing to do it for you guys.
Yeah.
Like, so maybe I wouldn't speak up if it was just for me all the time, but when it came to you guys, like there was just no question. Like I was going to speak up. I was going to advocate for you. I was going to listen to what you wanted and I was going to honor your needs. And that I was willing basically to do that. And that sort of just outweighed the fear and the judgment. But the problem is that the reason I want to share this with everyone is that it's almost like I want to give you permission to do that and tell you the benefits and the reasons why and explain what it's going to cost you to not do that because I was very lonely and I felt very shameful and I felt so guilty and I felt bad for hurting people that I loved by not doing necessarily what they wanted me to do or saying no or things like that. And I think that the more we talk about it and the more we have a conversation about it, people can feel less bad about doing it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think the more people that do it, like, we're giving each other permission. We're sort of modeling to do it. And if we
Mhm.
can sort of learn to do it with some compassion and empathy and kindness and open the door for communication, not everyone is willing to listen. Not everyone
Yeah.
really cares. If they ask you, like, why would you do that? Or why are you making that decision? They don't actually care about the answer. But I'm just trying to bring this topic. I lost my train of thought. But I'm just trying to raise some awareness about this topic because it was very challenging. And even like our story at the beginning, like it it's not easy to eat
Yeah.
different. It's not easy to do anything that strays from the norm.
Hmm.
And, we were willing to do the hard things. And this is actually, it's hard to,
It is,
I don't
yeah.
know why it is hard to be who you are. Like, I don't know why it would be so hard.
Well, it's the society that we live in, right? It's made to make it hard to do anything slightly out of pattern, right? So it's not totally our fault, but we have to decide to be courageous enough and strong enough and tough enough to ignore that how hard it is and the feeling like it matters. So, could you share some examples of choices that we made as a family that go against what everyone told us to do? Like, what are actual examples of us choosing a freedom lifestyle?
Oh my God, where do we begin? I don't even know. It feels like every single decision that we've ever made has been different than everyone else. But one of the very first things I would say would be becoming vegetarian.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
really soon after, we became vegan. So
Yeah.
that was actually an issue that was very upsetting to people. That's very upsetting when you actually choose what you eat. And we've never been like, I would say, evangelistic about it. Like we personally don't go around telling everyone else that they're wrong and that they should be eating this way. But apparently, when you make decisions for yourself and your family, that can offend people. Just the fact that you're eating
Just
different.
the just you doing it bothers them. You're not even
Yeah.
pushing it on to anyone.
Yeah. And I understand that too because you're not eating what everyone else is eating. Maybe you're bringing your own food, things like that. But we were trying so hard to be mindful of that. We were trying so hard to make sure that everyone could do what they wanted. And I
Mm-hmm.
always explain to you guys that even when you were really, really little, because you guys chose this, like we kind of chose it as a family, but there were things that you guys wouldn't eat and that you preferred. And I never forced you to eat anything that you didn't like and that you guys didn't want. And so just making this decision for ourselves um, was upsetting to people, even if we would say, no, 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 like you do you, like you eat what you want, we'll eat what we want, and we'll still be together. Like everything's fine. And the reason I wanted other people to have that choice is because I figured if we honor their choice, they're going to honor our choice. But I was wrong. Because that's actually not true. There's like
I
no logic.
know, shockingly.
Yeah,
What are other things we did
there's
besides?
no logic to that. It's funny. So when you were really little, everybody would start to ask me right away, like, are you in preschool? Are you going to preschool? Are you signing up for preschool? And I didn't know how to tell people that we weren't going to do school, preschool initially. Like, I didn't know how to share that. And so initially I didn't tell anyone, but you did. You would go to everybody when they say, "Oh, are you in school?" And you'd be like, "I not school. I school home. I school at home." And I'm like, Bella, I'm like, we were gonna keep that on the down low. Like seriously, like we're not telling people. I didn't have the courage. I had the courage to make the decision. I didn't have the courage to announce it. I didn't have the courage to be very public about it. But we did everything different. We did alternative medicine, alternative healing. different types of schooling, everything we ate. And then we chose to be like peaceful and nonviolent and I don't want to call it like gentle parenting, but we chose to parent in a different way where it was a very intuitive parenting lifestyle, which everything we did went against, the norm and everything we chose. And it's funny, I remember a story when you guys were really little and people would call. I would have friends and they would be like, "Oh, can you talk now? Like the kids must be in bed. It's like 7:30." And I'm like, "They're not in bed. Like they're still awake." And I'd be like, "Let me call you back." But then, you guys would stay up super late and everyone else I would talk to would say, "Oh my God, my kids get so grumpy," and everything like that. Even little before they were like in school, like before you had to like go to school or be on a schedule. And I'd be like, I don't know. And I would look at daddy and say, they're just so happy. Like, I don't know. We're still up, they're still up, like everything's fine. Like, why do they have to have a bedtime? So we sort of stayed up later, we questioned everything. Anything that we did, people didn't approve of. Everybody thought that it was crazy just because, this is how you do things. And
Mhm.
we just didn't do that. I mean, we just kind of broke every rule and every norm and we kind of did what made us happy and we did what felt good. And if we let you guys stay up late, it was a problem. If we let you guys sleep in, it was a problem. And I really don't understand how everybody had an opinion. I don't understand how everybody really cares what other people do. I can see if it doesn't line up with your plans, right? Like, say,
Yeah.
we sleep in, but they want us to get up early in the morning or something like that. Like I could see if there's like a conflict or something, but in general, I don't really understand why people are so invested in what you do, like what you
Yeah,
teach.
that leads to my next question. I was going to
Okay.
say, why do you think the pressure is so strong to conform, especially from people who genuinely have our best interests and love us?
I think a couple things. First of all, I think most people don't choose to be authentic. They don't choose what we're calling a freedom lifestyle. So I think it's almost upsetting to them when they see you do it because they don't understand it, but maybe subconsciously they're envious because they're like, well, listen, we're all like miserable doing what we need. We all
Mhm.
have to do this. So why, how come you guys don't have to do it? And I feel like we were kind of like inventors. Like we were inventing a lifestyle, but we were inventing a lifestyle that worked for the four of us. And we weren't really telling other people that that's how they should live. We were just living it. And the byproduct was that we were happy, we were connected, we were, healthy. It's like all of these effects still upset everyone. Which was really challenging. And, I mean, especially for the people closest to us, like I remember, my mom is going to listen to this, but I remember telling my mom that we were going to homeschool. And I very much understood why that would be hard for her. I really did because my mom is a teacher. My mom
Mhm.
was a teacher. And I understood that it would be different. And it's not something everybody would say like, "Oh, are you going to do that forever? Are you going to ever send them to school?" I said, "Listen, we're doing this now and then we're going to kind of like evaluate as we go because I had never done it before and I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't even know really what it was. And sometimes I even questioned myself. I'm like, "Why would I do this?" And there were things that I felt that I missed out on. Like I really liked school supplies. Like I kind of wanted you guys to have that experience, let's say in um, elementary school that I had, because I did go through the school system, I just sort of knew intuitively and how you guys were, what would benefit you and how you guys would thrive and what would be best for us as a family. And I should say also, we were entrepreneurs and we had our own business. So we were able to stay home. But everybody always says, like, oh, I could never do that. I could never choose that lifestyle. And I want to tell everyone, I couldn't either. Like when I chose to do it, it was not A, something I knew how to do, B, something that we could really like afford to do. Like we kind of had to find ways to do it, find ways to make it work once we made the
Yeah.
decision to do it.
Yeah.
And I always told you guys, even as you got older, I said, listen, we're going to do it for now. And if things change, we'll change. Like we'll adapt and renegotiate at every age and every stage. So I do understand why it was hard for people though. I do. I always kind of wanted to talk about it. Um, but I'm not sure that I could properly explain, why we were choosing that.
Yeah,
But
well, I think you touched on it for a second. I think when you do something and you point out something people have been conforming to, even that they didn't want to do, it's triggering because somebody has been living under, the illusion for so long that there's no other way. And even if they're not happy in that way, they believe that, and then you come along and do something, different, and it's triggering because people, they're like, I was forced to suffer and do something I don't want to do. Why do you get to choose that you want to do something that suits you? Like, I didn't get to do that.
yeah.
You know?
Also, I think it could be scary because, like, say for instance, like our families and friends, things like that, they thought that that's the only way. Like, you can
Yeah.
only learn in this one particular way. And if you don't do that, there's a fear that we could be harming you, or there would be a negative effect, or we weren't taking care of you properly, or you wouldn't fully, like thrive and develop. And again, I didn't know either. A lot of this was intuition. A lot of this was us, asking Penjie. A lot of this was us checking in and seeing, is this the right decision? And then
Well,
is this,
and it's stuff that's even now is much more trendy, or no, I mean, I wouldn't say trendy, but it's more known. And when you chose to do it, we didn't have everything. There wasn't the million mommy bloggers and TikTokers teaching or preaching gentle parenting or new lifestyles or people caring about what they eat or their diet or anything. Everything we were doing was, I'm not saying no one else in the world was doing it, but you were not surrounded by them. There was no one near you or online or anything doing what we were doing. So it was literally like, it seemed like to our families and to us that we're like, yeah, my, like, the what we're choosing was, didn't exist or
yeah.
something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it was that we were insane. And
Yeah,
I
like we
get
were
it. I
crazy.
totally get it.
Nowadays, if I mean, not everybody goes online, but I'm saying if you told someone I'm gonna homeschool, you would go see the, all these parents or people who are doing it and how it's working, and there's just so much more information, and there wasn't. You were just following your heart and your guidance, and the people around us didn't know about what we were doing.
Yes, and you guys were super sensitive and super
Mhm.
intuitive, and we didn't feel that that was the best decision for you. But then I sought out like very informative people. Like there was somebody that I am so grateful that we had the opportunity to meet while he was, here and while he was alive. But there's somebody named Sir Ken Robinson, and this was somebody who had kind of a big influence on me having the confidence to know that this was a good decision that we were making for us.
Yeah.
So I studied a lot of what he said. I studied a lot of education. I know I'm getting into kind of like the homeschooling thing, but
Oh,
just to
good.
use that as an example, I studied a lot of how education even came to be about, and, like how long our education system has been around. And, a lot of people don't necessarily thrive in our education system because everybody has a different way of learning, and they have, um, a different way of like receiving information, or a different speed at which they learn and things like that. So I just sort of like did the homework, my homework, to try to figure out, but that's just an example. Like that's just, but either way, like there were just things that I didn't make you guys do. I didn't make you guys conform. I remember we went to this class once, you and I, Bella, when you were really little, and it was kind of like a mommy and me, and everybody was sitting in a circle. This was the beginning of the end. Everybody was, maybe you were one, but everybody was sitting in a circle, and they told me to come sit down, and I was trying to get you to come and behave and conform. And I sat in the circle, and I was like, Bella, like, come over, whatever. You were just like, a few feet away from me, and everybody else was with their kid on their lap, and you would not come. And they were upset. And this was the beginning of like me deciding that I would never punish you guys, first of all, like, because I didn't think that that was necessary to teach you guys. So we didn't do like timeouts or anything like that. But we were in the middle of this class. Everybody was sitting. You were in the back on a trampoline. And I said, Bella, come sit down. Like, we're going to sing. And you were like, no. You're like, no, mommy. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what do I do? And we've all faced that. We've all faced like, like being in public and trying to figure out what to do. And I need to figure out, how do I convince you to
Mm-hmm.
come behave and sit in the circle like a good little girl, right? And you
Yeah.
wouldn't. You absolutely wouldn't. And to be honest with you, I don't totally know what happened, but I just
But
know
it's
that
not, that still sums me up pretty well. I'm always off doing my own little thing. And I still am not a fan of group public singing. I don't know.
no, you never were actually. Honestly, one of the things you despise the most is when they sang happy birthday at the restaurant. Like I
It's
used
so
to take
embarrassing.
I used to take you and leave the restaurant if people sang like at the restaurant. Like it was really crazy. And everybody would say like, "What's wrong? And why can't she stay?" And I was like, "Listen, she's upset. So like why can't I just walk out?" Like
I know.
I
Thank
just
God I've gotten over that one.
yeah,
But I remember, I mean, when you're so little, it's like it's overwhelming. It's a lot of attention. It's a lot of
it's
expectation. It's
loud.
loud. It's scary. It's people that I didn't always trust or feel safe around, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's intense.
Yeah. No, but it was just little things like that. So it's like, so I called it a freedom lifestyle, but what it really was just listening and honoring everyone's needs. And like, what do you need? Like, do you need to walk out? Is it loud? And, I remember one time we went to go see a movie and we got up and left during the movie. Like, you guys didn't like the movie, and everyone's like, but it's a cartoon, it's for kids. I'm like, well, they don't like it. Like, they don't feel comfortable. I'm going to leave.
It's also
God,
not, yeah, it's amazing how serious everyone takes everything. Like, it's not that serious. Like, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world or a bad movie or something. Sometimes you just don't like something. As in a grown up, it's perfectly acceptable to be like, oh, I don't like this coffee. I'm gonna order something else, or I don't like. But as kids, people don't let kids have opinions or feelings or anything. And
yeah.
you did.
Yeah.
You let us have
Yeah. One
feelings.
time we left a restaurant because it was too loud. And I do remember my dad saying, like, you're going to let them decide what we do. Like, they're going to decide for all of us. And I was like, well, listen, one of us is really uncomfortable and we want to have a good meal. So let's take the food to go and like, let's eat at home and everyone will like have a good time. Like, I'm not letting you guys decide for us and be in charge of us. I'm actually letting you determine what feels comfortable and I'm listening to you, but honoring kids' feelings and listening to them is really challenging. So,
And
um,
yeah, not socially acceptable, or
yeah,
and especially it wasn't. But
yeah,
it was, yeah, it was never like we were telling you what to do. It's more like you were moving like a unit and you were like, okay,
hmm
we have, 4 team members.
hmm
Somebody's off. How can we adjust, or like how can we make it feel better or help somebody? And if you have like a friend group or something, that's like normal, but then if you have a kid, people are upset if you're like trying to like care for the kid or something. I don't know. It's crazy.
yeah. Well, there's just a pressure to conform no matter what. Like, say you go to a birthday party and all the kids are playing, the parents would say, go play with all the other kids, but they're not checking in to see what the kid needs or they're not. So, from a very young age, we're taught to conform and we're taught to sort of fall prey to peer pressure. And when we get older, what does everyone tell us? Like, don't get pressured by your friends and don't get pressured to drink and don't get pressured to do drugs. But if from a very young age you are willing to fall for the pressure and, conform and try to please everyone, that's
More
a
than that,
problem.
more than that, you're conditioned for it. So it's a
Right.
paradox. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I think I just knew that from a very, young age. And, one of the other things we did, which now everyone writes about it and everyone blogs about it, and there's tons of podcasts about it. We never forced you guys to give hugs. We never
Hmm.
forced you to do manners. Like what we did was we inspired you. And when you guys were really little, I said it for you. Like somebody would give you something and you guys weren't sure if you wanted to say thank you or you wanted to like talk or you were checking out the energy. And I would say like, oh, thank you so much. That's really sweet of you. Thank you for thinking of us. But I never said like, now say thank you and now say please and now say, and that really bothered people and just also not for like you should go up and give them a hug and when a child feels comfortable and a child feels safe they will just naturally do that but we don't want to wait, let me say what we do want. We want to teach our kids from a very young age to trust what they feel. And
Hmm.
they do as little as babies. They trust what they feel. So, yeah, the pressure to, conform by strangers or people we know or be quiet and fit in and stay small. And we are just not taught to have freedom. We
Yeah.
are not taught to make authentic choices.
You've told me before that you're actually grateful for people who doubted us. Um, why is that? Why did their doubt end up teaching you something?
Okay. Well, it took me a long time to get to that, but in hindsight, I became very grateful for everyone that doubted us, criticized us, said anything, because if they didn't do that, we might not have learned to trust our guidance. We might not have learned to hear our intuition and listen to that inner voice. And we might not have had the courage, to do it if we didn't have such a strong like opposition. The opposition was so strong. Um, in society. And it really did inspire us to be like, no, you know what? This doesn't feel good. We're going to do this. This feels
Yeah.
better. Again, I think it can be challenging. It's hard to say that you're grateful for things that were very sad and very lonely and very scary. And but I do wish that I trusted myself sooner, but I'm very grateful that I did, and I would just hope to inspire someone not to feel so bad about it,
Yeah.
to try to talk to people or find circles where they can get support or community support or things like that. But I think that yeah, like this card of freedom today, we need to explore what does that really, look like, and what does it really mean to have freedom in your own life, in your own choices, and within your own family and in your relationships.
Why do you think most of us are so afraid to make our own choices?
I think we just care about being different. We want to belong. We want to be accepted. We want approval, especially by the people that love us most. Like we we're afraid to be who we are because it's not usually safe to be who we are,
Yeah.
you know?
And for like you just said, all of us have a fear of being isolated, of being lonely,
Rejected.
of being rejected, and that is a side effect of a lot of it, and that's something you did experience in many ways, choosing that.
Yeah, and I think that if we can have just maybe a little bit more understanding of each other, we can have better communication, and sometimes we can explain why we're making a choice. Like, for instance, um, for you, like when we became vegan, right? Let's say, well, let me give you two examples. I mean, for when
Mhm.
we became vegan, right? Before we became vegan, we were vegetarian, and you used to have a problem in your ear. So you never had an ear infection, but you had, it felt kind of like clogged,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And so I had just been learning and watching some documentaries, and I thought,
How old
huh,
was I? Was I like 8?
mm, I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, I think like around maybe
8?
7, younger,
Um, when would we say you became vegan, actually? How
maybe
old
like
were you?
9. I don't know.
Well, I'm trying to think about where you were.
Hmm. I think
For
I
maybe 7.
okay.
I think you were like 7. Okay. So let's just go with 7. I think I was trying to do the math in my head. Anyway, I'd been watching documentaries and I had been reading and learning about dairy, and I had been learning kind of like what's in our food and learning about all of our ingredients. And I just thought, let's just try this experiment. Let's see if we make this change, if you actually feel better.
Yeah,
And we did it for a week, and you felt so much better. Like you
cleared up
had
completely.
improvement. And I thought, huh, like this is really interesting. Like I think, and I used to tell Daddy, I used to be like, I'm this close, like to going vegan, like seriously. And I
Mhm.
remember the very first thing I changed in what I ate to go vegan, which was my cream in my coffee. I just switched my creamer. Like that was the first thing that I did, the first step that I took. And
Uh-huh.
I was scared and I was wondering if I could trust myself and I was wondering if I made the right decision, but I actually had Penjie already. So Penjie was a part of my life. I already felt it intuitively. I used Penjie to confirm and validate the decision that I wanted to make. And remember, when we make changes and decisions, it doesn't have to be forever. It doesn't have to be like a one and done and then you're stuck with it forever. Like, life is, like this. Like, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? You can make decisions and change your mind and see how you feel. And that's living in an intuitive lifestyle. And so the other thing I'm going to say is that you guys were super sensitive to, like, let's say cosmetic ingredients, and I
Yeah,
didn't
like
know anything
chemicals.
about ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
And, nail polish, like I was like, oh my God, I have these little girls, let's polish their nails. And then you guys both had reactions to the nail polish that I bought.
Yeah.
I went to beauty school. I used every product you can possibly imagine known to man. I didn't know about ingredients. I didn't know that they could have a negative effect on our health. I didn't understand these things. So I'm kind of summarizing years and years and years of education and unlearning and teaching myself and seeing what works for us. And I would find healthier products for us. And I didn't know that you would be upset. So then I would go and tell somebody like, "Oh, I use this other, nail polish." And someone would say, "Why do you do that? Like, why would, like, oh, the other one is not good enough, or how come you're not using this one, or you should try this one." And I would say, "No, we're not going to use that one because we have had a reaction." So it's just anyway, it's just like really challenging to like not doubt your decisions. And what you asked me was about people, why is it so hard for us? Because we don't want to be alone. And we don't want to be abandoned, and we don't want to hurt the people around us, and we don't want to feel hurt. So it's just challenging. But I think there's more talk about it now than, there was back then when you guys were little. So I feel like I was just a little bit ahead of my time.
You were ahead of the curve.
And you guys came here to do that. Like you guys came here to do that for me.
Yeah. Who knew you'd get these little sensitive gingers?
Yeah, exactly.
But I will say it's interesting too because what I'm thinking of when you're talking about this and I'm remembering like growing up this way, it it's so hard and it seems like you're naming so many different categories where we did this and they're each hard and I'm not gonna lie, it was hard and we've been through so many moments where I've broken down crying and told you like it'd be so much easier if we lived differently or I wish it wasn't that I wished we lived differently or I wanted to make a different choice because again we were doing these things together because they mattered to each of us. Like it wasn't like you were telling me I have to be homeschooled or this or that. It was like choosing, but even me wanting the lifestyle that we were living, the emotions of how hard it was got to us sometimes. I would be sad that why does it have to be different? More than it being hard, it was hard that it was different, even if it was the thing that I wanted, right? So the thing it's making me think of is the skill is not in each individual thing. It's making peace with um, having that independence and courage to be misunderstood by other people or to do something like actually having the confidence in the freedom lifestyle to do all the little things. It's not like the independence in each. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, so bear with me, but it's not like each category themselves. It's you are building this just, giant truck of going your own way and following your own intuition. So everything that we hit, whether it be diet or lifestyle or raising us or cosmetics or everything, we were already in this, driving this truck of our own lifestyle and intuition. So everything that we hit, we would approach that way, right? So it wasn't like you were actively choosing each point to do that. It was just like we were moving through the world this way. So then every single thing we experienced, we would experience from having our own opinion or approach to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it is really hard, and I would say to people, but every route you choose is hard, It's
Yeah,
hard to go to school, it's hard to be homeschooled. And you just choose your hard. Like it's
exactly.
it's hard to be mindful about what you eat, but it's hard to be sick. It's hard to take medication. It's hard to not know why you have a tummy ache every time you eat. Like it's just, it's like life is challenging, and it's just
Yeah,
like
in
which
general.
hard.
And I
Yeah,
mean,
and this is a lifestyle. It's not like a quick fix.
hmm
Um, and it's supposed to inspire you guys to figure out what works for you. Like we're not telling everyone to do what we did. We're telling everyone what we chose
and
and
to listen
why.
to what you want and have the courage to do it. And I understood that from a very young age, like very little, because my best friends were in school and I understood right away, okay, they're having a different lifestyle and it's also hard. And they would say, you're so lucky that you don't have to go to school. And I'd be like, but there are things that are hard for me and there's things that are hard for you.
Mm.
But then we talk about them, even if I'm like 5 or 6, and I would notice they had hard things, but they were different. And I was great, and then no, I don't want to say grateful the things that were hard for me. There, I had my own hard experiences, but it had, gave you that perspective of you're choosing your heart. You're choosing like, okay, I'd prefer to do this thing even if the consequences are that, but it's these consequences make more sense to me or they're easier for me to manage than the other ones, right? Like
Yeah.
kids who are bullied in school or just things that have happened, and I was like, okay, this consequence of it being unconventional or something, this is something we can manage. So it's like it's I love that you said that, but I don't know, it's something we could talk about a lot too, and that's the whole premise of the podcast, obviously, is our unique lifestyle and everything that we've done. But it's yeah, it's more normalized now than ever. The main thing I keep wanting to come back to is saying that you were literally living this trendy lifestyle of, so many things the moms are teaching online now ahead of time when it wasn't trendy yet. We were doing the trends before it was trendy, and it's so crazy to watch and see so many people, realizing these things or teaching these things now when
Yeah,
we felt
it's
so
it's
crazy back then.
it's crazy. And I'll tell you the other thing too is that, you know, so many people would always ask me like how can you hear your inner voice and how can you listen to your kids and you know, everything is just so very, I would say, fear based, right? And but I mean, honestly, I will just tell you guys that if you don't care about your kids' feelings, if you don't care how they feel, they will not care how they feel. And in return, they will not care how other people feel. Like, you know how you always
Mhm.
wonder, like, I wonder, like, I don't know how kids are mean to each other. Like, I don't know where they learn that. Like, how are kids being bullies? Like, how are they even? I don't even understand how they're so mean. Like, how do they not think of that other kid's feelings or
I know they're mimicking behavior that they see.
yeah, but I'm saying like, so just all of these things that I'm so passionate about, and they're things that I learned, but it was like a big parenting experiment, you know, like I really wasn't sure. I was just going by my intuition, your intuition, you know, like our whole family of what to do. And, you know, many times I wasn't sure and people made fun of us, but then I would be like, oh, there's so many good results. Like, you know, like we have good communication and we
Yeah.
have trust and you
And we
know,
had we had independence. We did our own thing. You guys worked from home. I didn't go to school, so we had so many unique experiences and fun different ways of life and habits and like little rituals we all did together.
yeah, and you know, like we also had the gift of time. We
So
were
much time to
less
connect.
we had more time to connect. We were less busy. And
Hmm.
what it did was it just created this, you know, this can connection, I would say, between us where we could work together as a family. I didn't need to punish you guys. Like if
Yeah.
something happened or something came up or we hit a challenge or there was we just didn't have a lot of the stuff that everybody else has because we weren't demanding you to be something that you weren't. And we weren't, you know, like I remember we would take you guys out and everybody would be like, how come they're so well behaved? And I'm like, well, they're not well behaved. They're just living. They're just
We were taken care of.
yeah, you were just taken care of. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I don't know. Would you guys have the courage to, you know, to live this way? Would you have the courage to I it's like you said there's a lot more to follow now that you can look and see people are doing it and they can hear. That's why we're doing the podcast. They can hear the results of it. You know, they can hear how you sound and how you speak and how you show up in the world and people see your heart, you know. I mean, you did that at your job, how you treated people and how you were in customer service and hospitality and just it shows what type of human you are and what type of human you became. And I'm not going to say it's for everyone, you know, everyone is different, so everyone's going to have a different, you know, route to choose and a different but I think the lifestyle of, you know, just listening more and honoring people's needs more is really, really important.
I agree. I want to add one more thing
Yes.
to kind of conclude this conversation for now,
Yes.
which is that when I got a little older, and it was very easy for me to, I don't want to say easy because, like I said, we had our own hardships, our own emotions, but it was pretty easy for us to live a unique lifestyle because I didn't know any different. And when you're little, you don't really care what people think. You don't, I don't know, I just was very happy with our life, but when I got a little older, like a teenager, there were moments where I felt insecure of things that we've done or the way I was. Again, not of myself. I was very confident in my abilities, in my life. I was happy, but I was insecure in other people's judgments of what it would mean because I didn't want to be misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want how I was perceived to be inaccurate to who I was. And that was a big, big lesson I had to find for myself because I would go into every interaction with somebody who didn't know me feeling like I had to justify my lifestyle or the way you raised me or something. I felt like it was my job to prove that you didn't make the wrong decision and that it was my job to prove how capable I am. And in some ways that's very good. It's made me, a high achiever, but I realized I didn't want that. I was like, I don't want to enter every conversation I have with someone justifying what I chose, right? So like if someone would say, "Oh, you're homeschooled," and then they would say something weird, right? I felt I would get this rush of energy of like, okay, now I need to justify my actions to this person so they understand. And the biggest thing I learned in my late teens is I didn't want to do that anymore. I was just very confident in who I was, and I didn't want to have to do that. I wanted to be able to just be like, I don't really care if they misunderstand. I know who I am and I know how it felt and how it suited us and how it supported me. And I don't need to, if someone's interested or they want, or I have a safe place to share, amazing. I love to talk about this stuff, but I do not have to justify our decisions to random people. And that's
Yeah,
something I would really like.
that was hard.
Yeah, that was very
Because
hard.
when you were going through that phase, I felt really bad. Like, oh my God, like I maybe I shouldn't have done this, and maybe it wasn't a good
Like
decision.
that's
And
something, no matter what you choose, whatever life like thing we're talking about right now, that's
Mhm.
something I would give like my biggest piece of advice is as hard as this is, like it's okay to be misunderstood by other people. Like the people who love you will try to understand or you can, help them try to understand, but random people and everything, it's not your job to like justify all your actions to other people or try to over explain yourself or something. And that was a big lesson for me and a big, huge relief and peace and confidence I received when I learned to not do that all the time. And I will say, unfortunately, some of it was due to circumstance. I loved aging out of having to tell people I was homeschooled because,
Yeah. But then COVID came and everyone was
yes,
homeschooled.
huge point. This was so interesting for me because I
Yeah.
grew up say I'm in a class or talking to somebody we met or something, and I would tell someone I'm homeschooled, and they look at me, and start imagining a barn somewhere, and I'd be like, no, 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 I'm not Amish. Like I learned at home, but I very well educated, live in Los Angeles, like whatever. I would have to explain, and that's an example of me feeling like I had to justify who I was in our actions. But then COVID happened, and I would tell people that I like worked with or something. I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm homeschooled," and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, me too. I did a year or something." And I'd be like, "Oh no, 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 I've been homeschooled. Like I'm talking like way back." And they were like, "Oh, I thought you meant COVID," because they were like, "Me too." So that was so interesting too, because that was like something I could have never imagined in my entire childhood. That like even the playing field in so many ways because it was so normalized. Like it's
But
something.
I'm going to tell you something even funnier and more
Yeah.
ironic. We were contemplating that you might go to high school. Like we
Yeah.
thought, you know what, as like a little experiment, like you in particular were kind of like interested. You were watching all these
Yeah.
Disney shows and you
I
were like,
also
I don't
think
know.
I think in a lot of I don't know what to
But
expect, but I thought I would have thrived having a different
well,
experience.
yeah, but I'm just saying what happened was ironic because you were kind of contemplating that and we were talking about it and I was open. I was like, yeah,
Hmm.
if you want to try it, if you want like let's do it, right? And then COVID hit and the whole world shut down and I'm like, sorry, like I guess you're not supposed to go to
I
school.
know, and then it was great though because it gave me good content. I had a running joke now that I always used, which was, God spoke, the universe chose. I was not meant to go to high school.
Yeah.
And I don't know, yeah, so but that was my biggest thing. I love being in the place now where I don't feel like I'm seeking that understanding or justifying my action.
And now, you know what's really cool because of the internet and because of social media, now we have so many people that come to us for guidance on these topics, right? Like what else can we take besides prescriptions, and what else can we do for healing, and do you have any other ideas? Because we have done so much research, and we have created this, unique lifestyle that people now come to us to try to get advice and try to learn and try to figure out, and just try to figure out where to look for an answer, and things like that. So weird. It's like the world caught up with us,
We were
and
just a little early. We're just
yeah,
a
and
little
it's
too soon.
definitely, amazing, now, but it's still seen as, as challenging. And I will tell you a lot of the things, like a lot of the decisions that we make to not go through the drive-through, again, not telling anyone they shouldn't, but we are just committed to like come home and cook and know what our ingredients are, and we're committed, and because we needed that, right? For our health, for our lifestyle, for our
Yep.
unique bodies and things like that. So it just, it had a lot of good side effects. And yeah. So anyway,
No, I love it. It's something we could talk about forever because it's our whole thing. But I think that's a really good place.
yeah. It's a good place to end, but I will tell you that I do love hearing your perspective, and I hope everyone does too, because it's crazy to get to the other side of it, Like I did have all those scary moments and those insecure moments, and we're just hoping that we can inspire people to understand that you know, this is an invitation to personal freedom and authenticity, and what does that mean to you?
Yeah. And the fact that we're more free than we think we are. There's a lot of things, the societal pressure can feel so intense that you feel like you're locked up, but there you have more choice. There might be consequences like, people's opinions, but you have more freedom than you think. And I don't want to get too crazy or scary or political, but so many things that I've seen nowadays of things that are happening in the world, it just makes me all the more grateful for like the lifestyle we have the opportunity to choose every day and live. And having that gratitude is so immensely powerful and it's overwhelming, I think, to see so many things. So when we remind ourselves the the ability to choose freedom that we do have, it's beautiful and I think it makes you want to choose it more because you're blessed to have that now.
Yeah, because many people don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that, Bella. So let's do our question.
Yes.
What did we call it?
Check in chat.
Check in chat.
Q&A of the week.
Yes.
Once again, you guys, if you have any questions regarding Penjie or anything in your life from any topic that you want us to answer from a more mindful or intuitive perspective, you can comment down below under this video or on our Instagram and let us know. And it might just make it in the next video.
Yeah. So the question this week, and I get this a lot actually, but the question for this week is, once I have my Penji, and I'm checking in and learning how to use it for myself, can I use it to ask questions about people that I love or my family or my friends or things like that? And the answer is yes. Yes. This is a very powerful tool that you can use to help your family and help your friends and things like that. But there is one requirement that I say, and I want you guys to take this very seriously and be in integrity. If you learn to use Penji and you want to tune in, you must have the other person's permission. So
Mm-hmm.
you may not ask questions about people without their permission. You may not ask behind their back. As a parent, I think it's fair that you ask, when kids are little and things like that. Obviously, they're not going to know. But
Like
as
as
they
a
get,
guardian, you mean?
pardon?
Like as a guardian,
Yeah,
you're
as a parent or as a
responsible.
guardian, obviously. But I'm talking about like you can't ask about your friends, right? You have to get their permission. But
Mm-hmm.
it's wonderful, and people will come to you to actually ask questions. So that was a question that people asked us
Yeah,
this
that was
week.
a good question.
Yeah, and I want you guys to know that yeah, you can be doing your own readings for other people actually, as long as it's permission based.
Yeah, and of integrity.
Yeah, we
I
get
love
that question often.
it.
So,
Okay. So, crystal of the week.
crystal of the week, you guys. This is the crystal fluorite. This is so pretty. I
Ooh.
have this big one of fluorite actually. And I love when you have these crystals that have the pointers here. So there's energy kind of coming off of the tip. And so sometimes, like, this one's actually really good for congestion, like if you have that. So, I recommend some of my clients to take if you have a crystal point, but you can actually like put it on your nightstand while you sleep and kind of like aim it at you, and the energy's kind of like coming off of you. But this is a master healer crystal. This is like amazing. Um, it's highly protective. It's highly protective for like psychic powers and things like that. Everything we're talking about, right, is tuning into your psychic power. It's a third eye stone. It's a connection to psychic and spiritual growth, which is everything we talk about. It shields from negative energies. Um, it helps to see both reality and truth behind the illusion, and it is also for clearing and renewal of the chakras. So there's so many things, and they have so many different properties, but this is just your little introduction to fluorite.
I
And
love fluorite. It's
that
so
is the
great.
crystal of the week.
If you were listening on audio, she has this one that's like it's a little pointy wand looking one, but
Yeah,
it's I
it looks
love
like a
fluorite
wand.
because it always looks like little waves of the greens and the purples and the cyan and the teal and the old like it's so many colors that I love all blended together. It's very
You
pretty.
guys, this topic is so big. I just want to say we kind of got stuck on a few of the different, topics or whatever, but I just wanted to say like there are so many millions of people who have digestive disorders or issues or don't feel good for food from food, and we have more kids and people, just more humans with food allergies than we have ever had in the history of time. And so this is why it's so important for you guys to listen to your intuition, listen to your own bodies, listen to how you feel. Don't let people tell you what is good for you, and especially people that are not even in the realm of knowledge of what you need help with. So anyway, when you guys are seeking advice, it reminds me of this quote from a Taylor Swift song. It's called Dear Reader, but it literally says never take advice from someone who's falling apart. You want to take advice from people who inspire you and who teach you how to be even better and feel better, and yeah, and maybe have been down a path that you're interested in going down, and have had success down that path. So, thank you everyone for listening.
I love it. Thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode. Reminder that if you want more of this education and community of like-minded, beautiful souls, and you like learning about Penjie, you can join Ask Penjie Society by going to askpenjie.com, AskPenjie, or you go to Ask Penjie on Instagram and send us a DM, and you can get your own Penjie and join Ask Penjie Society, where we meet and teach even more about all of this good stuff and learning how to access your intuition. And please hit subscribe, comment down below, like, reshare, share with every single person that you know, rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and do all the beautiful things so that we can continue doing this amazing podcast that we love and showing up for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
on next week of Mystic Like My Mama.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, you guys. Don't go anywhere just yet. Stay tuned in for a quick post show thought with Tina Louise.
Hi, you guys. This actually happens a lot after Isabella and I record our Mystic Like My Mama podcast, but I'm starting to think that sometimes after we stop recording, I start to have some thoughts, and I was thinking maybe I should record it right away, so that I can share with you guys. Sometimes I feel like there's something I wanted to say, or I feel like there's something that I left out, or what I really wanted you guys to keep in mind about this episode number 14, where we talk about creating a freedom lifestyle. First of all, you should know there's a huge synchronicity and surprise with our card reading. Every week we do a collective card reading on the podcast. But it's just, I kept having these thoughts afterwards. It's like, I think we kind of shared, it's such a big topic for us, and it's very vulnerable, and it was really challenging to create a freedom lifestyle. That's why we want to talk about it. That's why we want to make the conversation be known, so that you guys have permission to learn about it and do it as well. And we weren't always right. We weren't always perfect. Like, we didn't always make the right decisions. And I'm not sure that we're not like telling everyone that we did it perfectly. We're just sharing sort of what we did. And the thing is that I didn't get to say on the podcast, something I really wanted to mention was that, one of the places where we actually really have a lot of freedom is how we think. and what we say and how we show up in the world. So it doesn't just mean like what do we choose and like did we homeschool or not, or what do we eat. It's really what do we think and what do we speak and what do we feel. We have freedom in that, like what do we let inside of our heads, like it's our choice what we put in our ears and what we allow us to listen to and what we focus on and where is our energy and where is our attention. And I just want you guys to know that there is great power in sometimes you can't even make a decision to change something in your life, but you can make a decision to change how you feel or change how you think or change how you show up or decide to release self-doubt or decide to, not make decisions from fear, and how to work through your anxiety and just how to like change your mind. Like just even being open to like listening to something like our podcast or wanting to change your mind is something that's really important to me. So I just kind of wanted to add that. And I'm probably going to end up doing this more where I make like a little video after we record. Sometimes I'll say, Bella, oh my God, I forgot to say this. I forgot to say that. I really want to say this. So I'll just do some little like follow-up videos to let you guys know what I might have forgotten or what else I wanted to share with you. But I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast, and thank you so much for listening. And okay, bye.